Alright. Alright, I'm just going to open a ROM here and I'll help you out with your scroll blocks. I'm going to use a clean ROM, just go straight to the landing site. Okay. First thing, let's just create a red scroll block. So go to Tools, Scroll Editor, wait for it to load. Alright, we'll make this one right here red, so that way we can't walk through it. Yeah, this way same as the screen won't scroll through there. So save that, go back, save our ROM, back to the level editor. I don't know what version you have. If you have 2.0, this will be the same. 1.32 will be a little different, but I'll go over how to do it in both. Alright, the first thing is, if we want Samus to walk over, not be able to see what's here until she touches one of these scroll blocks, let's move one, put it over here. Now also these arrows, which you've probably figured out what they do by now, but they just copy whatever they're pointing to and bring it across. So in other words, if she touches this S for the scroll pointer, it'll move the screen. If she touches the arrow, it'll do the same thing as long as it's touching the S. So we make a nice line, because if we don't have these and she jumps over the S, then the screen won't scroll. So if you wanted her to go anywhere near the screen and scroll, you'd probably want arrows going all the way to the top. But we don't have that many PLMs in the room, so we'll just leave it at that. So we'll go ahead and test it just to see what happens now. What is happening with yours and mine. This will probably come up kind of laggy or whatnot, but as you can see, doesn't do anything. Not working. Causing problems. Same thing whenever I tried to learn how to do it. It just didn't seem to work. Until I found out how easy it was to do. All you want to do is change this to a different scroll block whenever you touch the S. You want to change it to a blue. That way the screen will move over there, but you don't want it to move over there until you're in the right spot if you have like a secret area or whatnot, so you don't give it away. So to fix it, all we got to do is go to our scroll editor again. Oh, actually, no we don't. Go back to the level editor. First thing we got to do is right click the scroll pointer, or little S, and find out what this says up here. Write this down. This is your byte or pointer address, which is 92B0. So you just write that down just as you see it. Very simple. But just don't change it. Leave it as it is. These you don't want to mess with too much if you plan on using them. And if you ever change them into like an item or whatnot, I always write down what they are, because you might be able to use that later on. So if I was to change this into a missile pack or whatnot, I'd write down this number, keep it in a folder or something with my other stuff, and then change it to a missile pack in case in a different room I needed a scroll pointer, but I didn't know what kind of address to use. So we've gotten this wrote down, 92B0. And the B, I don't know if you know hexadecimal or not. If you don't, you probably want to go to Wikipedia and look it up. That way you understand. But if you don't, instead of regular decimal, which goes 1 through 9, then goes to 10, and then 11 to 20, this is hexadecimal, which is in base 16 instead of 10. But we don't have a number that takes one digit that counts as 16. So in other words, we have 9. Instead of going to 10, you're going to go to A, then to B, then to C. And A would be like 10, B would be 11, all the way up to F, which is 15, and then you have 10. But 10 in hexadecimal is 16. It's kind of confusing, but like I said, go to Wikipedia or something, just search online, read a paragraph about it, and you'll probably get it a lot better. But we have this written down, 92B0, so we can close this. These should all be the same. They should be 80, 0, because that's what they're supposed to be written in the text box right here. So these are all the same, 80, 0. They're just copying what they're pointing to. So they're copying this S without having to have a million S's right here. Now that we know what our value is, we go back to our scroll editor this time and change this to what we want it to be whenever Samus touches the S, or the scroll pointer, or one of the arrows. So in this case, we'll just change it back to a blue. So we click blue. Then we go down to here where it says PLM scrolls. This will only be for Smile 2.0. If you don't, you'll have to change it, then go up to File, click that, and then one of the options here, I believe, is Save Scroll PLMs, or Save PLM Scrolls, something like that. You'll click that instead of down here. And once you switch it to what you want, you click Save Scroll PLM. Should bring up this box. So bring it up in 1.32 also, same box. Now all you have to do, if you read this, it just tells you make sure you know what you're doing, because you can overwrite stuff that could be important later on if you don't. But we should know what we're doing here. So we take our number that we wrote down, our 92B0, fill it in right here. 92B0. Save. It'll tell you you're about to write it there. Make sure you document it. You'll want to write it down that way you don't think that, oh, I never used that number, and use it on a different scroll block later down the road, and then all of a sudden this one doesn't work anymore because you used it in a different room or whatnot. So it's always good to write them down, that way you know what you've used and what you haven't. Click yes, and then it'll ask you if you want to reset the original scroll values. That's fine either way. If you click yes, it's just going to change this back to red, so you know what the scrolls are going to be whenever you first enter a room. And then if you say no, it'll stay as blue, but you have to remember when you first come into the room, that's going to be a red one, not a blue one, until she touches that scroll block. So we've saved that. We can go ahead and save the room. Go back to our level editor. Make sure